Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Want to say salute to everybody, salute to the LDBC, and glad you stopping by the channel to hear what I have to say for this Thursday, March 5th, 2020. The title of this stream here, A Phoenix Rises. There's a little bit of backdrop into that title, so that's why we are here. I want to say thank you to everyone that's out there listening right now. It says we got a couple of people out there in the chat. We got my man Focus Ball. He says, salute Stormy. Son of Tank is out there. Says salute. Broderick Hunter says salute. Stormy B-Man in chat. Mr. Tiptoe is out there. Says salute family. Salute to you family. And Thomas Moreland is out there with us as well. What's good? He says salute family and salute to you, Thomas Moreland. Yeah, man. This particular stream is coming to you courtesy of Blue Blood Sports TV, who just a little while ago dropped a video mentioning something about our champion Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder has decided to take George Foreman up on his offer to have a relationship professionally where he may be able to contribute to Deontay Wilder going forward as he is looking forward to exercise his contractual opportunity for a third match with Tyson Fury, the current WBC champion. And seeing that Blue Blood announced that also when he dropped this information just moments ago, I guess it may have been about 30-40 minutes ago, he said he had it on genuine accord and authority that this is something that is taking place, that is going down. So on the heels of that, I thought I would do a little stream and talk about this subject and give thoughts and hopefully engage the chat in the conversation over this opportunity that Deontay Wilder has decided to pursue. So that being said, this is why I'm here this evening. I don't normally do a Thursday stream, but this is kind of like exciting news, and just gonna try and have a little conversation about it. Usually when I've done a Thursday night stream, it's either on Kung Fu movies or my dining dish. Two shows I haven't forgotten about, but there's been so much happening in boxing. It's just that Stormy has put those shows to the side while he's done a bit of covering of the sport of boxing. And if you notice, even today I dropped a couple of videos. One was on the warm-up in boxing, and the other was a little video on the possibility of the upcoming match between Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin. So I'm kind of all over the place, but just picking, subject and content to kind of discuss and have something to say about. There's so many opinions, there's so many things going on that, everyone has their little thing that they do or what they say. So I'm no different, So being here with you all, glad you're listening. I see we've got even more people out there watching now. They probably want to hear what I got to say, and if it ain't up to their liking, they gonna be out like Flint, But that's okay too. I just hope that you guys know that when I come on, I try to keep it engaging. try to keep it earnest. So here I am. So as we touch on this subject, the Phoenix rising. Okay, the Phoenix rising from the ashes. This is a metaphor for Deontay and his heavyweight championship experience, where we have seen him as a champion defend his title successfully 10 times. His 11th defense, he dropped his fight with Fury. So in order to complete the process, he will have to rise from his broken and burned embers to return to the place of glory. And there have been a lot of speculation about what may happen, what should happen, advisements of what should be done, what moves. Is he firing people? Is he retaining people? So we find ourselves here having this discussion tonight. I've had some suggestions. You know, it's like it's not beyond reproach. You know, we all just want to see the champ be successful and coming back to claim his glory. But it's a serious account here, because as he works toward this, he's going to have to be 100% focused and dialed in, because if he were to lose again, there's a lot of people out there that would like to take shots at him, regardless of his accomplishments. They want to, you know, dismiss them. They're actually trying to dismiss them now. They were actually trying to be dismissive of the champ before he lost his title. There are a number of people who spoke quite negatively about his skills or his boxing talent and things of that nature, whereas though in 40 plus fights he has produced winning results, that people were so dismissive of him and his accomplishments as to say that, you know, he can't box. Well, let me see someone out there that's saying that try to get in that ring and box somebody and knock out, you know, 95% of, you know, the opponents you face in 40 fights or 40 plus fights, and see how well you do, huh? And see how, if you've been able to make every single opponent you face touch the canvas, huh? Every single one. It's hard to knock down one person, let alone 40 plus in professional matches, especially after you've knocked down the first few. Okay, word is out that you can knock people on their behind. So it's going to be people trying to be resilient, trying to be defiant, trying to be safe, safely kept in those ropes, inside those ropes, to keep you from getting to them. And let's see how you break them down and put them on their behind, huh? If you think that is so easy, or that it's just something to dismiss, then to also have, only after 3 years of taking up the sport, medal in the Olympics, you know, and only had started at the age of 20. So let's see you guys try that. You want to be so dismissive. I'm not dismissive of that in the least. I call that special, okay? Where a person has been anointed with gifts, that they can do that and come along in a time when a lot of people have started out at such a far more earlier age, 7 years old, 6, 7, 8 years old, and have known nothing more than to be participating in that sport in their lives, you know? This man was working, trying to take care of his family and his child, when he came across this idea of taking up this sport, and hadn't looked back. That's to be applauded. That's the stuff of movies. They talk about making movies about far less and far worse circumstances. But in order to achieve greatness, it's okay to hit the ground running and have a successful run. But it's only when adversity comes into play. It's only when setbacks, roadblocks, and barriers, banana peels, and lack of appeal, acknowledgement for your accomplishments from outsiders, do you find that you are going to have to break yourself down, build yourself back up, and persevere, press forward, push on. And we're at that stage now where we're about to see the champ give it a go for that. So even in the midst of many people, like I said, making suggestions and even making offers, including the man of the hour, George Foreman. It is my understanding that George Foreman had made a attempt to reach out and say, hey, he would be willing to help Deontay Wilder in his future endeavors as far as trying to reclaim his title. I wasn't aware of how serious that was, or even if it would be taken as serious. But I had my own suggestions about this. But at the same time, if the champ is willing to show the humility and say, hey, I would like for someone to help, kudos to him. Okay, that's a huge step in the right direction of wanting to be better and to press forward. All a part of what's going to have to be a part of the process. And it's great that it's an early acknowledgement. He didn't brood and waste a lot of time. He went ahead and made a choice of what he wanted to do, and you have to respect that. You understand? Let's see any of you out there who are being dismissive be bold enough and willing to make the changes necessary for your own personal plights. Some people are just afraid to make one move. This man made a huge one. So, hey man, respect and hats off to the champ. Now, George Foreman knows a little bit about setbacks, suffering, humiliation, and having to exercise humility. This is probably the #1 sports story for someone who made a 360-degree turnaround, in his life. Because the old George Foreman, who was heavyweight champion in 1974, when his title was taken away by the greatest, Muhammad Ali, in Kinshasa, Zaire, George was not such a nice guy at that time, and at that time he was on top of the world. He was the most feared champion in the sport. He was brooding, he was powerful, he was strong, and he was 24 years old. 24 years old. When Ali took his title, Ali was 32 years old. Okay? And George fought a couple of more times after losing to Ali. He even had a situation where he had a night of fighting 5 men in one night. George, for many of you who don't know too much about that aspect of boxing history, yes, George Foreman had a promotional event where he took on 5 different fighters in one night. It was a gimmick, and he was trying to rebuild his confidence and things like that. But after dropping a decision to Jimmy Young, George didn't want any more of the sport. And so away he went. 1977, George kissed the sport goodbye. became an ordained minister and preacher, opened himself a church, and he was doing the services of God. Okay? But when he wanted to raise money, fundraising and everything, he decided, I know how I can raise a buck or two. He's like, I'll box, exhibitions and things like that. But it had been 10 years since George had fought professionally. And he decided to come back. And that comeback led to him becoming heavyweight champion of the world again for a second time. Albeit George was, 42 when he won the title from Michael Moore. That's amazing. Amazing. But along that way, in that path, George had managed to change his public persona. Okay? He had become more of an engaging fellow, affable, sometimes humorous, and he endeared himself to the public. Not unlike Ali, but in a different manner. He was a lot heavier than he was when he fought as a 24-year-old. Maybe 20 pounds heavier, sometimes 30 plus. The old mustache was gone and the afro was gone. But George was able to put it together. And on one great night against Michael Moore for the WBA and IBF heavyweight titles, George knocked Michael Moore out in the 10th round to win the heavyweight championship for the second time and become the oldest heavyweight champion. That was something to be applauded. That was something to be respected. But let us not forget this. It was his second time. So he knew the flavor of that success. Okay? And he fought hard to get back to that. It took him a long time. So I'm saying all of that to say this, to present George Foreman as a worthy advisor or concierge, whatever he's going to be to Deontay Wilder in this process. It's a very capable person. Plus, George can play like the father figure here, the granddad, actually. And again, it's commendable for Deontay Wilder to come into a situation like this and to place himself in a spot of humility and decide that I want some help. I want someone who's capable, someone who's walked the path, someone who has endured, because George endured quite a bit. From the demonstration of the waving of the flag in 1970? I'm sorry, for the Olympics, the 68 Olympics. And also having lost to Ali, hey, the greatest. When you become a victim of the greatest, you're nothing, right? People look down on you. So that being said, to come back, having, like I said, remade his public persona, he became more engaging. He laughed at himself for having a bit of a belly. But he was still, George, even though he had a stomach, he was, like I said, 20 to 30 plus pounds heavier than he was in his prime. He was still a formidable guy with forearms and biceps that looked like, a formidable guy. He had always been a strong man, but to see George pulling Jeeps up a driveway and stuff like that at the age of 40 and 38, it was amazing, I remember he remarked, I'm going to be heavyweight champ of the world and taking social security checks at the same time. He was quite a character. I won't even go into the grill, okay? That's a whole nother thing, marketing. But he made the most of it in his comeback. So would he be able to tell Deontay Wilder some things? Oh, unquestionably. But what we're talking about in this instance of this particular pairing, we're talking about what happens in the ropes, you know, inside the ropes. What happens in the gym prepping for this event. He will be able to impart some experience on him and let the champ know what he's going to be facing. And those are the conversations. Those are the moments of bonding and coming together that are significant. Because if the champ can rebuild himself from the inside, I don't question any of his confidence. But if he can take that new experience of advisement on and apply it to what he has, and maybe tweak some things technically as far as what he has to offer with his fighting ability, without question and undoubtedly he can become champ again. And wouldn't that be nice to see a former world heavyweight champ help a present former world heavyweight champ regain his glory? Undoubtedly. Let's see, we got some more people that have joined us out here in the chat. We got okay, I got you guys. Broderick Hunter is out there, Mr. 100. Derek McGee is out there. He says salute family. MMT Pros. He says Wilder needs a. Let's see what else we got. We got Jacob Jennings. He says salute OG Stormybman. Mahari Nation Sports Podcast is out there. It says good evening Stormybman. Good evening to you. Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Jacob Jennings says, I remember that fight, Stormybman. Talking about Foreman and Moore. Yes, sir. Jacob Jennings says, Holyfield versus Foreman was a classic. Yes, it was. The battle of the ages. And Broderick Hunter says, at MMT Pros, really? Who and how do you suggest he should do that? I'm curious. Tyrone Smith is out there, my little brother Tyrone. He says, salute this Thursday evening to everyone. Salute to you. And Kenneth Johnson is out there. He says, salute Stormybman. And CB Sports TV has joined us. He says, salute Stormybman. And Curtis Anderson, salute family. Yes, sir. Talking about this news, CB and Kurt, I think we all agree that veteran experience would be the best for Wilder. And what better, as far as heavyweights, I remember I remember that I paused because Christopher Journay has slid in there. He always making comments about my music being like elevator music or TV commercial music or something. And there he is right there coming back. Christopher Journay, I'm going to knock you out. What I was getting ready to say before I got distracted to Kurt and CB, the experience that Big George has, I had suggested Larry Holmes, but either pick is like, how can you go wrong with these men and their vast experience? Even George, as far as the personality aspect of it, I think that he can bring something more than Larry Holmes. So there are some benefits to this, and he should definitely soak up as much as he can. The great thing about Mark Breland could show over this period of time, and I think we saw tremendous flashes of it, that Mark Breland can show and has shown Deontay the subtleties of boxing and things like that, but only technically. Now physically, Big George, being a heavyweight, he could tell Deontay what it's like. He's felt the blows. He's been in there with big men, smaller men, all of this. Men who move, men who come to you. All of that. He's been a man who has been able to take people out with his punch. Like I'm going to do Christopher Journay. And that all of that works for him. So that's advisement and counsel that can be shared with Deontay that's invaluable. And Mark Breland couldn't provide that. So hopefully this is going to be like a super team that Wilder puts together, where he's able to retain certain aspects that has saw his career through to this point. Excuse me. And the new wrinkles that someone like George Foreman could provide him. I'm excited about that. Can't help but to be excited about something like that, because when you have, I mean, I remember when George had come back and he started stepping up his competition, like when the fight that he had with Jerry Cooney, and then he had a couple of more fighters, and then it was Evander Holyfield. He had Archie Moore in his corner, Big George. Archie Moore was in there counseling and advising him. So I welcome this. You know, I think it's a very, very positive thing. It's something that's a shot in the arm. And George will probably help him deal with Tyson Fury's personality too. Because remember, George's public persona is quite engaging and everything. I haven't said anything about his private persona, and I'm not going to. I'll save that for Deontay. That's for him to find out on his own. And he's going to find that guy on the TV show and the commercials and all of that stuff and the salesman. That's just a businessman. He's gonna learn about the heavyweight champion, the former heavyweight champion of the world, the guy who crushed Joe Frazier in 2 rounds with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 knockdowns. I don't know. I think Joe, if he was still alive, he'd still be trying to get off the canvas. Ken Norton crushed him, obliteration. Okay, Jerry Cooney crushed. Obliteration. Michael Moore, crushed. Obliteration. Burt Cooper, crushed. Obliteration. So Big George could handle himself and handle himself well. You know, TV Sports TV says George Foreman can definitely help Wilder and give him pointers on how to deal with Fury. Absolutely, man. 100%. This may be a stroke of genius as long as they can work together and they have a chemistry of communication. I've often remarked, any guy can ball his fist up in that ring and punch another guy, but not any guy can just get in there, think things through. And this is not about thinking, oh, you got to be a swami to get in there and figure things out, but to be smart, to use guile, to be able to trap guys, set traps for guys, you know, to overwhelm guys, overrun guys, to pull back away from guys. All of those things a complete fighter needs to know how to do, and only a fighter of true experience can pass that on. Let's not forget that Mark Breland, again, was like a welterweight when he fought, and, you know, he can't tell you what it's like to be in there with a heavyweight in a world championship fight. You're talking about sparring in the gym, because sometimes little guys in the gym will spar a big dude in the gym, but the big dude in the gym don't get a chance to open up on you and crush your ribs and crush your jaw. But Big George can tell you all about that, especially when you're the guy that does the crushing. No Filter Tony Boxing says, salute my brothers, salute my brothers. My personal opinion is Fury had a great game plan which was to stay on the inside, not letting Wilder hit him with that long right hand. Drew Titan says, I really wish Evander had offered. I don't think Evander is that type of guy. You know, he's not trying to, train somebody or coach somebody up like that. And I think he's really focused on being behind his son right now, since his son's career is launched. And that's totally understandable. And he probably wouldn't want to create some kind of feeling between he and his son if he was to suddenly take on Deontay Wilder, and his son might get jealous or something. Holyfield, he's a thoughtful man. He thinks those kind of things through. So I understand what you're saying, but there may be some reasons why he didn't offer that up. CB Sports TV says that Curtis Anderson, I agree, Wilder must turn into the Browns bomber in training camp and all the way through the fight. Yeah, and leave the lady alone, his fiance. Send her on a trip. You understand? And get in there and get mad that you can't get a hold of her and everything. Have something to work for and to work toward and to come back home to. You have to be able to deny yourself of things, because that's why you making me miss my family. You making me miss my woman. You making me miss this. And then take it out on that guy across the ring. Huh? Take it out on him. Make him wish like, oh man, what did I do? I opened up a Pandora's box here. Yes, sir. That's what it's all about. Curtis Anderson says, CB Sports TV, he's going to have to sell out. Yes, he's going to have to sell out. He's going to have to leave it all in the ring. And it preferably all upside Fury's head and body. Nature Boy Randall Boxing Channel says, Evander said he couldn't help. He never fought a dude like Fury at Drew Titan. Well, I was close. CB Sports TV says that Curtis Anderson, true, he must bring the fight to Fury and pressure him into mistakes. Drew Titan says, I was talking about in a spiritual sense, to be clear. Yeah, I understand. And Drew also says that Nature Boy Randall Boxing Channel, I heard him say that. Yeah. So, hey man, it's on now. It's on and popping. What are you guys' thoughts out there about George and what he can offer, to the champ? Because I think there's a couple of things I would like to recommend the champ do and exercise. And boy, would it be something for Fury. Fury wouldn't be able to last around if he works on this one particular thing. It's amazing how when you be talking on here, your throat get all dry and everything. I don't know, Drew Titan, you feel that when you do your lives, you get to talking and your throat get dry. You're like, man, gotta keep you a cold drink next to you. Drew Titan also says, Evander seems like his logic carries weight. I'm an energy person. I just believe in things like that. You know what? We're all supposed to be energy people, but we all don't exercise our energies in the most positive of manners. That's why we don't get a lot or don't attain a lot of what's there for us. I believe in that tremendously, Drew Titan. And it's one of the reasons why when I'm doing this show, I always speak on the positivity and the energy of dealing, because that's a huge part of it. We are spiritual beings. We are beings of energy. And if you can't tap into that in its most positive and progressive way, you can become stagnated and stunted. Your growth doesn't persevere. It remains. And how many people have you had to leave in the wake of your progression? Not because you were being selfish, but because you had to leave that point where they found themselves because there was no growth there. And you had to find a way beyond, So, Drew says, put Fury on that bike early. I say flatten his tires so the bike ain't no good. And then he can't get away from it. And then you pull out your knife and your fork and you die. Yeah. That's what I say. Iceberg Nerd has snuck into the building and he says salutations as he always does. You know, salutations. We'll go see what we can do. Let's see. All right. You know, it's great to hear this news early because Deontay is going to have to go to work soon. And having settled on what he's going to do as far as having assistance, it's going to be important. So Big George being there, I like that. Big George already being in the mix. So let's see. Christopher Jornay. Salute to Christopher Jornay in the PayPal. He says, salute my brother, Elevator Music. And he laughing. Man, I'm going to get that dude. He always talking about my music. But yeah, appreciate you, man, with the donation, man. Salute to Christopher Jornay. Yeah, man. But, see, that's the kind of music, Christopher Jornay, you can put on while you in the gym. It's not about hearing the rhythms and everything, but it's about knowing that there's something in the environment right around you. Atmospheric. That's atmospheric music. And fighters will fight. Yes, especially in the gym here in Chicago. We put all types of music on like that. But typically jazz, because jazz is rhythmic. And in the gym, you want to be rhythmic. You want to be moving. You want to be, having a certain type of flow and energy. That's what that's all about. You may consider it elevator music because the only time you hear music like that is when you get on an elevator or something. But hopefully you get trapped on the 29th floor or something one day and you have to listen to it till you fall asleep. Huh? Nature Boy, Randall Boxing Channel says, 100. I feel that Drew Titan. I was hoping for Lewis, but I figured Wilder went with Foreman because Lewis from the UK at the end of the day. Am I overthinking that? Yeah, you probably are. Let's see. No Filter Tony Boxing says, I think Wilder needs to work on his footwork in his short inside fighting. You're definitely correct about the inside fighting. And I think he could be a much better inside fighter than he believes he could be. Let's see, what else we got? Drew Titan saying at Nature Boy, Randall Boxing, he says, channel, not at all. For the type of fight against Fury, I think Foreman is well equipped. Lewis would be if he was fighting a smaller guy. And then Christopher Jornay is laughing at what I said. Yeah, I'm going to get you back, man. Talking about my music. I'm going to get stuck on that 29th floor and everybody going to go home for the day. Leave you on the elevator listening to that music. And every once in a while you might hear my voice chime in and say, and one more time for this wonderful piece dedicated to Christopher Jornay. And that same song you're listening to right now start playing. How you feel about that? Drew says, I listen to metal in the gym. I go hard. Yeah, but let me tell you something about going hard all the time, Drew Titan. That's a way to get burned out. Never forget yin and yang, hard and soft. You do more soft, you do less hard, and what happens is you have a symmetry where it balances. You know, Bruce Lee, a great physical specimen at the time of his life. He actually burned himself out because he went too hard too often. He forgot his own principles, and it cost him health-wise. But there's nothing wrong with going hard. But you have to remember that symmetry, yin and yang. That's right. Because just like in Tai Chi, I can move, okay, and then boom, knock you the fuck out, huh? Because it's the energy. It seems like it's flowing in and out or whatever, and then when it strikes, Funa, Eye of the Phoenix. I did say the name of this show was A Phoenix Rises, didn't I? See how I tied that in there? You can leave something in the donation pot. Let's see what we got. He says, jazz when I get home and my wife take care of the rest. Okay, I heard you. No more comments from me. John Lejeune says, hit the like button, you trifling ass trick assholes. There you go. There you go. Tell him, John Lejeune. Tell him what to do. Let's see. John Lejeune been hanging with me for a minute. So let me help him out here. So yeah. But yeah, man, it's like this is going to be something to see George Foreman impart some of his experiences on the champ and see what the champ can do with them. What I would like to see right off the bat is something visibly different, something, the way he may move or whatever, because that's going to put people on edge. That's going to people, uh-oh, what's happening here? You understand? Because if he could get in close to Tyson Fury, forget about that long jab and all that. If he could get in close and then just start going to work on him, bit it up, pop, poop up, letting them beams drop on him, combinations, 3-4 at a time, no big shots like one, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Fury be like, what the hell was that? Yeah, I got some more for you. That's what I would like to see. And you can do that. You can train that way. You can train that way. Broderick Hunter says, I'd love to see better footwork and aggressive body attack. Yeah. And higher punch output. Absolutely. Absolutely. The higher the punch output, the faster Fury goes down. Because he can't take him. He can't take him. Nope, he can't take him. But that's what we would need to see, from the champ. That ring should be cut in half. Don't even need the other side. In the boxing gym, we train. We put a rope from one ring post across the center of the ring to the other ring post. And we use it for several different exercises. One is the slip exercise. As you go across the ring, you slip under the rope, punching, coming up, throwing your shot, slip and bob and weave under there. The other is to spar. Well, not the other, but another is to spar on one side of the ring. Split in like a triangle. And the whole point of that is somebody is going to get put in that corner. Ring apron, where it comes to a corner like that, somebody's going to get put in there. But you're sparring out away from it. You turn a certain way, you cut the guy off, now he's there. And then you back him right up into that ring post. And you go to work on him. You learn to fight in close proximity like that. For any of you who may saw the Creed films, remember in Creed 2 when Rocky took Creed out there to that place out in the desert where they trained? Remember the guys had their foot in that tire and they were sparring with the foot in the tire? That's in close boxing and fighting. That's all that is. Being close to your opponent. Learning how to stop shots, catch them, block them, defend, keep your chin tucked, and to get adjusted to being close to somebody all the damn time. Because when you're close to somebody, there's certain shots that you could get off all the damn time. And you might be used to backing up, shaking your arms out, and being able to get back up on somebody. No, but you in there all the damn time. So you have to be able to see everything from the waist up. Shoulder movements, you know, the shifting of the eyes, the feints, you know, feints, don't go for it. You know what I mean? Technical things. This is what it's all about. Close proximity. That was my forte in the gym, of showing guys how to fight in close. You know, being able to shift your waist, shift your shoulders, being able to move. It's when you're good at that, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing. Pernell Whitaker could stand right in front of somebody and make them miss a ton of shots, and then come back and counter them with really hard body shots or jabs to the head, and then dip around and you be on this side and he was just in front of you over there. Beautiful fighter. Christopher Jornay says, you would think that the way Wilder is built, he would throw some more combinations than he does. Yeah. Iceberg Nerd says toe to toe. Absolutely. You know, fighting toe to toe. Yep. It's important. Very important. So it's funny how this screen acts up. Iceberg Nerd, thanks for the PayPal donation, brother. Just got another one from him, and want to say thank you for supporting the channel, man. Really appreciate that. You guys are loyal subjects, man. You, Christopher Jornay, and the sister Denise Wards. I didn't see her out there this evening. She might be busy with family. But, man, you guys have really have supported me, and I appreciate you so much. Really do. But, yeah. To see Deontay be able to battle on the inside, a man with the type of power that he has, George could show him definitely how to throw short punches, because the shorter punches, you think they may not have a lot on them, but when you put your twist in it, your waist, you know, those shots can be devastating. Joe Louis knocked guys out with 6-inch punch, excuse me. That's devastating. Devastating. And George can convince Deontay to use that telephone pole jab, because Deontay got a piston of a jab. George had that telephone pole jab like Sonny Liston. Boom! When he hit you, he could knock you backwards. But Deontay got one that's like, it's like zip, and it could cut you, you know. So George can remind him of those things. But you have to step forward into that jab. Don't jab and go backwards. Step into that jab, and you double up, you can get that much closer. Absolutely. So that's the kind of thing that I would like to see Big George work on with him. Make these guys fear what you have to offer again. Because those guys sitting outside the ring saying all the stuff they've been saying and everything. And you know what? It's really disgusting. These American fighters, they have not come to the aid of Deontay and the respect of Deontay. But that's okay, because when he knocked this chump out this next time, everybody gonna try to be on his jock, and he gonna shake them all off, man. To hell with all y'all. You understand? When Ali knocked out Foreman in Zaire, he sat in the dressing room, and in the report they was talking about, oh, how great he is. And he said, all y'all be quiet, attention. He's like, I told y'all never to bet against me. I told y'all that I was going to beat him. I told y'all he was slow. I told you. He shut them all up. Because they all had him picked. They had George picked to beat him. And he shut their mouths. It was a beautiful thing. Iceberg Nerd says, I'm looking for Wilder to take a step back when Fury is looking to lean that weight on him and walk him into a shot. I'm looking for Wilder to dig one right down below the booty. Boom! And when Fury go, oh! Boom! Right on his head. Good night. Yeah. Because he opened the door for that. All that fouling and stuff. George is a master of that stuff too. A lot of y'all don't know that. But in his last fight with Jimmy Young, before he retired for that long period of time, he was doing all kinds of dirty stuff to Jimmy Young. Jimmy Young was complaining to the ref and everything. George was trying to kill Jimmy Young in there. Not just knock him out, just hurt him. Break his arm and stuff. George is a master of that stuff. That's why, he probably told Deontay in a personal phone call. He said, hey, man, I got you covered. Whatever you need. You probably told him. I'm telling y'all, that public persona, you believe that. You can believe that as you want to. Hi, I'm George. You want to buy this car? You know what I'm saying? Don't believe that. Don't you believe that. The real George is like, hey, can I see you over here for a minute? The light goes dark. That's the real George. I'm telling you. You better know. Teddy Atlas was messing with him at that Michael Moore press conference. And Teddy Atlas don't know how close to death he was messing with George Foreman, man. Yeah, whatever. But that's about it, man. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down this evening, brothers and sisters. I guess there may be somebody else that want to come on, but I just thought I would do a little stream this evening and talk about my thoughts since Blue Blood dropped the news and said that it had been confirmed that Deontay will be enlisting some type of assistance of George Foreman in his career going forward, especially in particular in line with the rematch, trilogy match with Tyson Fury. So only because I had that on that confirmation did I decide to do this stream. I had heard some things, but I wanted to make sure it was confirmed because I don't like to just take something and run with it if it may not be true. You know what I mean? So that's kind of one of those things. Be responsible when you're talking on here. Don't just be talking out your butt cheeks. Drew Tight says, Wilder must learn how to spin off those ropes. I was screaming because it was there for him several times. I would love to show him how to do it. It's a wrestling move. It's all momentum. Yeah, it's all momentum. And don't forget, he's usually the one backing people up against the ropes too. So he does need to work on those things, But hey, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys this evening. I really appreciate everybody who joined me this evening. Shout out to the LDBC, my brothers out there, Drew Titan, Abel Mahari, Kurt Anderson, Christopher Jornay, Iceberg Nerd, Mark Wunderlich, Mr. Tiptoe, Roderick Hunter, who is it? Kenneth Johnson, everybody, man. It's like you guys come out there and show me a little support. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to tune in to the Friday night chop session tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Central. I got a reminder out there. It's like, to cheat to compete. I think that's the title of tomorrow night's show. So that ought to be interesting. And we'll get a chance to talk it out. CB Sports TV, all you brothers, man. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a good night. And we will see you tomorrow on the chop session. Stormy is out of here. All right.